Hello friends in YouTube land, it's Asenva here for another fun tutorial slash adventure. Today we're going to be working with decals. Here's what you need for today's experiment. You will need a pair of scissors, tweezers, a paintbrush. These are optional but highly recommended. The decal medium and the decal fix, you can actually get these off the junkie spot. And they will essentially help you flatten out the decal and seal it into place. You will also need a bowl of water. And of course your Obitsu head. Okay, so the first step in the process is cutting the decals. So here's a sheet of decals that I have, and depending on which head you're going to use, you're going to want to fit those eyes to it. So take for example this head right here. I wouldn't necessarily put these smaller eyes on it. I would want something else that fits it, so maybe something along the size of these eyes right here would probably look best. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick a random color, so I'll just pick these yellow ones here. And you're just going to cut out your decals. So here are my decals, they're already cut. You will actually have to cut more than this. I tried on my first run of decals just using just cutting this in half and then just putting it on that way, and it honestly did not work out so well. That's because when you're laying these on the surface of the head, it isn't like a completely flat surface like the paper that it's on. It's kind of got a curved surface because the head is kind of round. So if you cut it out like this and try to paste it on there, you may get bubbles or wrinkles in your decal. So you want to actually cut as many different parts as you can. So with my handy dandy scissors, I'm going to cut even more. So I'm going to cut more. So now I have both parts of the eyes cut out, and I tried to get it as close as I could to the actual color on the decal. That way it's less stuff to put on the face, and that will reduce the chance of it crinkling when I actually put it on the head. So at this point, there's different things, and I've read different things about preparation before you put decals on the heads. There's people that spray it down with MSC, MSC just being a magical thing because it just helps things stick better. My head is sprayed with MSC already. So I'm not quite sure how it fares out if you don't pre-spray the head with MSC, but I would probably just suggest to go ahead and do it. It won't use up that much MSC at all. I just used like one very thin coat, and that was pretty much it. So that would be preparation before you start working on the heads. So I already have that sprayed down, and so let's go on to the next step. Okay, so the next step that you would need to do is you're going to select your eyeballs, and you're going to put one of them in the water. I have it facing this way in the water. It's just going to sit on top. And you're going to let it float in there for about, not long at all, maybe about like 30 seconds at the max. It's just because it's loosening itself from the paper. The decal itself is going to become free, and you're going to be able to slip it right off, and you'll see what I'm talking about. In the meantime, while that little head is going, I'm also going to apply just a tad bit of some water onto my head. I'm just kind of prepping the area. I'm going to add some water. Okay. Now, with your tweezers, you're going to want to pull this out. It's going to try to run away from you. And you can just put it right on top. So I'm also going to get my finger a little bit wet so you can see how easy it is to slide off. And it actually caught on my finger. Let's see if it'll come off my finger. There it is. Okay. So obviously we're not going to want it like that. So we're going to go ahead and readjust it. I just have a little bit of water on my brush. You can even use a little bit of your finger if you want. Just get a little bit wet and you can move it. So, now, I have it with water. You can then also use some of the decal medium, What people suggest with the decal medium is that you use this also as the water base on the bottom underneath the decal, and you put it on top of the decal as well. It's a very, very liquidy solution, very, very like water-like. So whenever you do apply it onto the face, it's just going to look like water. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a couple of drops on. Just put a drop right there in that top layer. I'm going to close this back up. You don't need a lot, so I'm going to put this down. I'm going to get a little bit, and I'm just going to brush it on. Basically now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the other one and do the same thing I did with this first eye, but now I'm going to put the second eye on. And that looks a bit straight to me. I try to see if things are balanced on the top and the bottom. See, that one looks a little bit too high, so I'm going to bring it down. So that looks good. So there's the eyes put on. Next is the eyebrows, which are fun because you can make a character look like they're angry or happy or surprised depending on how high or low you put the eyebrows. Okay. And it slips right off. So at this point you can adjust this eyebrow to wherever you want. Like I said, it's really cool because you can do a lot of things with it now since you have it on. And you do the same with the other eyebrow. If you still need to make corrections, you can at this point. You haven't really sealed anything in place yet, so essentially if your eyes are not where you want them, you could add a little bit more water and try to shift it around with the paintbrush. Just make sure you're not pressing too hard. Once your head has finished drying, that means there's no more water on it or anything like that. You can seal it with something like this. This is a decal fix. It's basically like a clear, like acrylic. You don't even need that much. You just put it on the top of it just to, you know, keep it in place. Some people also, they just spray it again with MSC and they just leave it at that. I personally have learned to love this decal fix actually because I feel more secure with it on there. Because it's like a clear acrylic, I'm kind of not too scared about it scratching off of my doll or anything like that because you're essentially sealing it with more paint on top. So before you use it, you want to give it a good shake. Make sure it's nice and mixed. You don't need that much at all. You only need probably a drop. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my handy dandy palette that I have here. So I get my handy dandy brush. Put it in some of this awesome decal goodness, and gonna just put a thin layer on top. I'm just doing little brush strokes, and it's just gonna be on the decal. I mean, you don't need to go beyond what you see. Yeah, so at this point you just let it dry. You make sure your decal fix is dried all the way. Maybe give it like a good 20 minutes or so for it to dry. Anything acrylic based can dry pretty fast, so just make sure it's completely dry before you start handling it again. Just like any face-ups, whether it's resin dolls or Obitsu dolls, it's just best not to handle it a lot. So even though you did seal it, I would just recommend just being very careful with it, just like you would any other doll face. But that is pretty much the whole thing about decals, and you can buy these decals. You can buy the decal medium and the decal fix off the Junkie Spot, and it's a really cool way to customize your dolls because they don't only come in just these sheets of decals. I mean, there's other kinds that you can buy, and they come in different little shapes and colors and sizes. So when you do buy a sheet, you get the whole sheet, and it comes like in a package like this. I think it comes with about 12 decals, like 12 eyes. So it's really, really awesome. Like it's really, really affordable, and you get like a whole bunch of decal eyes with it in different sizes. So yeah, I hope that helps anyone that was looking into purchasing decals. It's not scary at all, I promise. It's actually pretty cool. It's like putting stickers on something. So hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will be seeing you guys in another video soon. Bye.